Good morning and happy Friday. Friday, as I'd like to say. I am going to be going over the answers to the review. We're going to start on page 883. I have the answers up here for you because I would rather spend most of the time in this video going over the answers to the calculations, and I don't want you to get sick of me before we get to that point. So I'm just going to flash the answers up for the first page. Number 1 is D. Number 2 is G. That's a little g. Number 3 is B. Number 4 is F. And number 5 is A. All right, now I am going to take the answers off and go to the next page, and I'm gonna kind of explain this to you. It was a lot. Now, the first thing I would recommend doing is going to, I have it typed out in a Word document. These are all of the conversions you will need to complete these. So we're going to have to kind of go back and forth, but you need to know these. And remember, they will always be given to you. You don't need to memorize these. So go back into the lessons to find these. We're going to kind of keep going back and forth. These are the conversions you will need to complete all these questions. Once you know the conversions, which again, you will always be given the conversions, all you have to know is horse to fly, multiply, fly to horse, divide, of course. So we're either multiplying or dividing based on the problem. So for number 6, we're going from inch to foot. That's fly to horse, divide, of course. Now, we're starting out easy peasy because we know that there are 12 inches in a foot, and then they're going to give you the other number that you need to work with. So it's 84 divided by 12. Now, another thing I'm going to tell you on this is I feel like it's okay to use a calculator. Some of these are really large numbers, and we would rather you feel comfortable with the process than spend a ton of time on the calculation. So if you want to get out a calculator, that's fine. 12 goes into 84 exactly 7 times. So 7 times 12 is 84. No remainder. Okay, so we're just going to put our 7 in there. All right, number 7, we're going yards to inch. That's horse to fly, multiply. There are, and you might need to go back to your little cheat sheet, there are 36 inches in a yard. So over here, I'm going to put my 36 because I know that's a number I'm going to need. 36 times, and then it's whatever other number they give you, 9. 36 times 9, 6 times 9 is 54, and then 9 times 3 plus 5 is 32. So for that one, we get 324. Okay, number 8, yard to mile. That is fly to horse, divide, of course. This is definitely one that I would get a calculator out for. There is 1,760 yards in a mile. So you have that 1,760 into 7,920. I would get your calculator out, try a couple things. Let's say you think it's 5. Okay, that went a little over. So let's try 4. Okay, and I'm getting out my calculator too. 1,760 times 4 gets you 7,040. Then you can use your calculator to do your subtraction. And you get 880. So your answer could be 4.5 miles, or you can just say 4 miles and 880 extra yards, but it's actually 4.5. So that's what I'm gonna write. But again, if you put 4 miles and 880 yards, that is also perfectly fine. All right. 64,000 pounds to how many tons? Pounds to tons. That is definitely fly to horse, divide, of course. What I'm going to recommend you doing is canceling out the zero. So let's look at our little conversions chart. Let's make sure we're going back and forth. There's 2,000 pounds in a ton. Okay, so I'm going to just write, sorry, I need to get back on I'm going to just write 2 into 64. I just canceled out my zeros. So there's 3 zeros in 64,000 and there's 3 zeros in 2,000. So I'm just not going to work with those because it's much easier. 2 into 6 goes 3 times. And then 2 into 4 goes 2 times. So your answer is 32 tons. Okay, I'm going to give myself a fresh page. Okay, pounds to ounces. Pounds to ounces. There are 16 ounces in a pound. We're going from horse to fly, so we're going to multiply. So 7.5 will just be 75, because remember, with multiplication, we're going to forget our decimals there and then add it back. 75 times 16 is, if you do the math, 1,200. Now, you had a decimal point here. That's one place after the decimal. So you have to go back and go 1 over and re-add your decimal. So your answer is 120 for number 120 ounces. All right, number 11. There are 16 ounces in a pound. So 16, and we're going to divide on this one because it's fly to horse, divide, of course. 16 goes into 62 3 times, and you get 48. And when you do your subtraction, you get 14. So your answer is 3 pounds and 14 ounces. All right, number 12. Let's see. There are, looking back at my conversions, I've written them down. There are 4 cups in a pint. So we're going to do multiplication, 7 times 4, because you're doing horse to fly, multiply, 7 times 4 And I apologize, I just made an error. There are not 4 cups in a pint, there are 2. So we're going to do 7 times 2 equals 14. And like I said, there's a lot of different conversions. So just make sure you keep looking back at your conversions list. Don't make my mistake. Look back at your conversions list because again, you will always be given that. You don't have to know that on your own. I'm going to clear my screen again. So number 12, the answer is 14. All right, number 13. We are doing cups to quarts. That is fly to horse, divide, of course. Now there are 4 cups in a quart. So you're just dividing 12 divided by 4 is 3. So number 13 is 3. Number 14. Pints to gallons. Fly to horse, divide, of course. There are 8 pints in every gallon. Again, we don't expect you to know that. Look back. And then the other number that give you is 72. 8 into 72 goes 9 times. All right. Number 15. Millimeters to centimeters. We're going to divide. Okay. There's 10 and then 120. I'm going to use my zeros trick. I'm going to do cross out, cross out. 1 goes into 12 times. That makes it easy peasy. Okay, do you guys remember good old line plots? So it's going to be really interesting on here, but this is our halfway mark, right? So that's 1/2. All right, what else do I need? This is our 1/4 mark. 1/3, where would that go? In between my 1/4 and my 1/2. I'm going to write it up here. 1/3. Hopefully yours looks a little neater than mine does. And then we're just going to plot the points. Can I get another color? Let's see if I can get fancy. You know I'm not that great at this. I think I did it. Okay. So we're plotting 1/4. And let's just see how many of those we have. 1, 2. Okay. So here's my 1/4. 1, 2. How many 1/3s do I have? 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. This is sloppy. All right, and then how many 1/2s? 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. Okay, now let's add these up. 1/4 and 1/4. 1/4 and 1/4 go together to equal 1/2. Now let's see how many 1/2s we have. 1/2 plus 1/2 equals a whole, and then another half. So in the halves column, we have 1/2. Well, in the 1/4 column, we have a half. So we know that 1/2 plus 1/2 will equal, yes, 2. And then if you have 3 1/3s, that's another whole. So 2 plus 1 equals 3. And then you're putting that, your denominator is always going to be how many things you plotted, okay? So we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So your total fair share is 3/8.